With the final tales from the Pizzaplex book now here, I'm trying my best to power through the book and get my summaries out. I already failed at that, as I wanted this video to come out yesterday, but it's okay. The first summary, which was for the first story in the book, B72, came out a couple days ago, and for this video we'll be doing a summary on the second story, Alone Together. I will of course be doing a summary on the last story, Didophobia, as well as the Final Tales epilogue, but for right now, let's just get started on the summary for Alone Together. The story begins with our main character Travis at school between the 3rd and 4th period. Travis was a shy 7th grader who hadn't hit his growth spurt yet and couldn't ever get the guts to try and actually make friends. He was overhearing some kids he recognized making plans together and he wished he could have gone with them, but that could have only happened if he was friends with them, and he wasn't. He'd never even been to the mega Pizzaplex, where the kids planned to go after a volleyball game on Friday, because it wasn't the kind of place his dad would go and he didn't have any friends to go with. Travis had always been pretty shy, but he had friends in elementary school. Now though, after his mom left, he drifted away from his friends, and he also drifted away from school activities as there was no one to encourage him because he didn't talk much with his dad. Travis now headed into his woodshop class, which he liked as everything in his life fell away when he was there. He loved working with wood, which he thought he got from his dad since he worked with cars. His dad used to work with him on his school projects before mom left, but not now. In woodshop class, the teacher Mr. Middlefield introduced a new project that would take about 6 or 7 weeks to build, and he provided examples. The project was to get everyone out of their comfort zones and do something to challenge themselves. When Travis looked at the examples, he saw one labeled Mechanical Turk. The Mechanical Turk was a large cabinet with a humanoid figure attached which could play a game of chess with an opponent. It looked challenging, and Travis thought it would be cool if he tried to do it. He thought he could even change the humanoid figure to something slightly different, like the Sun Man from the Pizzaplex. He thought this project could be really cool and maybe could even get the attention of some of the other students and help him make new friends, but he decided even if that didn't happen, that would be fine. The project, he knew, would be super cool. At lunch, he sat under a tree and started sketching Sunman, who, I should also mention, he knows is named Sun, just Sun, but he preferred calling him Sunman just because it made a little bit more sense to him. He got the feeling someone was staring at him and looked up and noticed a girl he'd never seen before. The girl was sitting alone under another tree. She wore all black and had brown hair with purple streaks, and when she saw that Travis noticed she was looking at him, she instantly looked down at her own sketchbook. Travis thought maybe he could try to befriend her since she was sitting alone at lunch and might have been new to the school, but Travis pushed that idea out of his mind as he was still too nervous to try and make friends. After school that day, Travis went to the library to try to find a book on the Mechanical Turk. There had only been one book about it, and it wasn't there. He worried someone else might also be making the Mechanical Turk, but he knew there was a small chance that anyone else would be making the Sunman a part of it, so his project would still stand out. He was going to use the computers in the library, but they were already taken. He figured maybe he could ask his dad if he'd ever heard of the Mechanical Turk before, and maybe then his dad would have been able to help him with the project for once. Before getting home, Travis tried to go visit his grandma, but she wasn't home, which was disappointing. He got home, felt sad about his mom and stuff, and went into his room. His room has a few posters of Freddy Fazbear and cars his dad liked on the wall, and Travis noticed it should probably be cleaned up when he had the chance, but right now he had homework to do. Later, when his dad came home, he came into Travis's room and Travis told him about the Mechanical Turk assignment. His dad seemed to have heard of the Mechanical Turk before, and Travis explained his plan to incorporate the Sunman into it. His dad told him it was doable and agreed to help him with the assignment. During dinner, he talked about his day and mentioned the girl who looked at him, and then thanked his dad for agreeing to help him before heading back to his room to continue working on his homework. When he got back to his room, he looked at the picture on his side table, a picture of when his family was still happy. He decided there was nothing to be sad about because his dad was going to help him. It was going to be great. Travis went to the library early the next day so he could use the computer and found that the Mechanical Turk was used a long time ago, but obviously it wasn't an actual machine. There would be a compartment people would hide in to control the automaton, and somehow no one knew how it worked until many years later. Travis began sketching in his notebook the interior of the device and strangely felt deja vu as if he'd done this before, but he knew he hadn't. When the morning bell rang, Travis headed out of the library, but before he did, the new girl from the day before stopped him. Not actually, they just ended up face to face and she quickly detoured around him. Travis tried to say something in the moment, but all he could muster was, He thought he should probably try to introduce himself next time. During class, his mind drifted. He imagined working on the Mechanical Sunman, but he was watching himself do it in his own head as if it was a movie playing before his eyes, which he thought was weird. He snapped back to reality when the bell rang and found that he didn't take any notes in class. He felt like something was wrong with him because he wasn't really acting himself. After school, he found his dad home early and they started to work on the Mechanical Sunman. We cut to later on when Travis is working on the mechanical Sunman. He gets a splinter when suddenly the world around him transforms into a black void. He was really confused as he walked along the void for a while until he saw two shapes ahead of him seeming to be dancing. As he got closer, he recognized the shapes to be Sunman and Glamrock Freddy taking turns doing a move in chess on the mechanical Turk machine and then getting up to dance while the other made their move. Suddenly, after Sunman made a move, he danced over to and around Travis. Travis followed him with his gaze but begged him to stop moving around him as he was getting dizzy. Travis didn't know what was going on, but suddenly the music that was playing stopped and Sun leaned down uncomfortably close to Travis and asked him, "Why does it all seem so familiar?" Travis woke up in bed and he asked himself the same question. All day at school that day, Travis had a weird feeling, as if he had an overdue assignment, but he knew he didn't, so he didn't know why he felt the way he did. He didn't pay attention in his classes and just looked at his woodshop notes. At lunch, he headed towards his usual spot under the tree and saw that it had been occupied by a new girl. It seemed she had been kicked out of her spot under the tree she was at yesterday, so now she was in Travis's spot. He almost wanted to turn and walk away, but he decided against that. He decided to go up to her and told her that she was sitting where he usually sat. She kinda gave him some attitude even though he tried to be nice about it. He asked if he could sit on the other side of the tree and she told him she didn't care but to stop talking to her. He didn't know why she was being so rude about it. He wished she would have just said nothing then said what she said. After school, Travis went to his grandma's house and found that she was finally home. She'd been traveling and would be again soon, which disappointed Travis as he loved spending time with her, but it was nice for now at least. They caught up about dad and stuff and he told her about the new girl and how she was mean. She told him maybe she was shy like him and that he should try to talk to her again, and Travis considered that. He then told his grandma about the weirder things that were happening, explaining the woodshop and how he was having memories of making the mechanical Sunman before even though he never had. She suggested that he had a ghost around him, telling him she was once haunted by a ghost. She explained that there were 5 signs of a ghost being around you. 1, seeing dreams and flashes of memories that didn't belong to you, like they possess your thoughts when they're near. 2, feeling chills or tingles on your arms or back when they're around. 3, there could be sudden movements of objects or sounds out of nowhere. 4, you can hear thoughts in your head as if the ghost is talking to you if they really attach themselves to you. And 5, you may rarely see the ghost itself if you're really gifted. Those signs, especially the first 2, really sounded like what was happening to Travis. His grandma's ghost was a woman who died in her father's land. Many ghosts linger around the place they died and familiar places to them, especially if the remains aren't discovered. Grandma's ghost lived with her for many years until she moved away. Her parents never believed her about it. She thought maybe Travis's ghost could have been someone who died at the school and who has a familiar tie with the project he's working on. The ghost probably trapped within the mechanical Turk, waiting to be discovered so it could move on. It was a lot to take in for Travis. He said goodbye to his grandma and went home. When he got home, he looked at the woodshop project he and his dad had built so far. He flashed to darkness and felt as if he was trapped inside something dark and wooden. He knew this wasn't his memory and he pushed it away, but he recognized that he needed to try and find the body of his ghost. He told his dad he was going to be staying the night at his friend Pete's house. He hadn't spoken to Pete in a long time, but his dad didn't know that, so it was a good excuse to go and investigate at the school. He snuck into the school, avoiding the security cameras and the teachers, and got to the library. He had to wait for about an hour before the librarian left. When she did, he went to her computer, somehow very conveniently found the very unsafe password for it, and got into her computer. He spent hours trying to find information about the ghost, looking through student files, woodshop classes, searching for keywords, and most importantly security camera images, and eventually he found a picture of woodshop class with a mechanical Turk machine that had an automaton that had sun rays around its head from over 2 years ago. Travis really was being haunted by the ghost of a kid who made the same project as him. The image didn't have any students, but he now had seeming confirmation of the ghost's existence. He wondered if he actually ever wanted to theme his project around the Sunman or if it was just the ghost's influence. He also didn't know if he was up for the task of helping the ghost, but he knew he had to. He looked at more camera images and found a couple school workers on images from 2 weeks later carrying the unfinished mechanical Sunman project out of the classroom. Travis knew it had to be somewhere on school grounds, and he would find it. He couldn't find any more pictures of where it was though, unfortunately, but he decided he would find a map of the school and he would search every storage area until he found the mechanical Sunman and the lonely ghost's body. The next morning, he was really tired as he stayed up all night finding a map and then printing it out, then shutting everything down to hide the evidence of his visit. He didn't sleep at all. At lunch, he sat in his usual spot. The new girl luckily wasn't there, and he spent time finding where all the storage rooms were on the map. He knew this was going to take a while to search. He decided he had some time to search one room before lunch ended, so he did, but he didn't find anything. As he left, he noticed the new girl sitting by herself against the wall outside of the janitor's workroom which he just searched. He wanted to turn and walk away, but he remembered what his grandma told him. He began walking towards her, flashing reasons in his mind why he should leave her alone, but he walked closer anyway. He began talking to her, and she was still pretty rude, but she let Travis sit with her, and he learned her name was Marissa. She didn't want to be friends, but because Travis noticed her drawing a graveyard with skulls and bones, he thought maybe she'd want to know about his ghostly experience. He told her he was trying to help a ghost, and she actually seemed interested, so he told her the story. After he did, her hand froze on the pencil she was drawing with. She was silent for a bit before she continued drawing and simply said, "Interesting." She then asked where he was looking for the ghost, and he showed her the printed out maps of the school and told her where he was searching. Then he decided to ask if she wanted to help him find the ghost, and she quickly shook her head and told him she definitely didn't want to find a dead body, which is respectable. The bell rang and they both got up. She began walking away when Travis decided to ask if maybe she wanted to hang out with him at the Mega Pizzaplex. She instantly turned to him and told him that she didn't want to hang out with him. Travis was pretty sad about that, but he then asked if maybe she just wanted to talk again sometime. She told him she didn't know and maybe, and then she turned and continued walking away. Travis thought maybe she would want to be his friend eventually. He realized he was late and started rushing to class. He thought of the ghost and realized he had to continue his search of the storage rooms. He checked 2 more storage rooms after school but found nothing. When he got home, he found that the mechanical Sunman was now about halfway complete. His dad must have done some more work on it while he was out yesterday. He felt a bit guilty that he hadn't been there to help him. Later, when his dad got home, he seemed to be almost upset with Travis. Travis was exhausted, so he went to bed after dinner. He woke up to the voice of his dad seeming to be talking on the phone, and while he couldn't hear much of the conversation, he heard his name in the conversation. He wondered if maybe his dad was talking to his mom. He thought maybe his dad had found out that he'd skipped some classes for his search. He felt that it was necessary though, so he hoped his dad would understand when he eventually found the body. He got to school early and checked the basement, which was off limits to students. Travis figured he'd already broken a bunch of rules, so what's one more? The basement was really old and had quite a lot of stuff in it, but there was no sign of the mechanical Sunman. Suddenly, the ghost began overpowering Travis with its feelings. He couldn't breathe and he couldn't see, so he stumbled and fell, hitting his knees on the stairs. He managed to make it up the stairs and into the hallway, and there he could see again. A few kids looked at him, but no one really cared that much. It took him a second to adjust back into reality, but when he did, he spotted Marissa. She was smiling, and he noticed that she was with a new friend, a girl he thought was named Trish. He called for her, but she completely ignored him. Travis was ignored by Marissa. He wasn't good enough for her, or anyone for that matter. He was a loner and no one cared about him. Not even his parents did. He wondered if it was his fault that his mom left. When he heard the bell, Travis didn't want to go to class. He ditched school. For the rest of the day, he walked around town. He walked past the Mega Pizzaplex. He knew it would be fun to visit with friends, but he didn't have any friends to go with. Maybe he was destined to be alone forever. He continued walking throughout the town. He saw a kid at the playground fall down, and his dad went and helped him up, hugging him, and made it all better. Travis wondered if telling his dad about the ghost could be the best option. Maybe then he could have had a heart-to-heart with him and told him about all his feelings about mom and everything. He stayed at the park for a little while before he headed home. His dad was already home and Travis expected he'd be in the backyard, so he headed there before anything else. He stopped dead in his tracks when he saw that the mechanical Sunman had been completely destroyed. His dad must have been angrier with Travis than he thought. He wanted to scream and cry. He felt like his life was falling apart. Travis found a small flashlight on his dad's work table and put it in his pocket. He turned and ran away. Travis believed everything would go back to normal once he found the ghost body. He made it to his school and found that everyone was already gone for the night and the school was locked up. Travis's only hope was to check in the 2 sheds outside the school. He checked the first shed, but it was locked, so he couldn't look inside. He looked at the map and looked in the direction of where the other shed should be, but he only saw bleachers there. He headed towards the bleachers, wondering if maybe the shed could be hidden behind them. There actually was a shed there, and he was able to get inside this one. When he did, he felt a shiver go through his body, and wondered if the ghost was here. He looked at all the typical gym sort of stuff in the shed, and noted how it smelled like there was something dead in here. This had to be it. He looked around further, and sure enough, he found the unfinished mechanical Sunman. He opened the cabinet, but strangely, he didn't see a body. He only opened one side, though, and he wasn't able to open the other. He searched inside it, and found the library book about the mechanical Turk that he didn't find at the library. The space was big enough for a person to fit inside, and so he decided to crawl inside. Suddenly, the cabinet slammed behind him. He was trapped. He tried to kick against the door and the wall beside it, pleading for the ghost not to trap him because he was just trying to help him, but it was no use. However, the wall beside him collapsed and opened up into the other cabinet, and inside that cabinet was the body of a dead boy. Travis was horrified, but as he looked at the body, he noticed how familiar things were. The boy was pretty small, like how Travis hadn't had his growth spurt yet. He looked at the hat the boy wore. it was the same hat Travis wore. Their outfits were exactly the same. The dead body inside the cabinet was Travis. Travis was the ghost that haunted his middle school. Travis was a typical 7th grader with 2 loving parents, a couple friends, and a knack for woodshop. He decided to make a mechanical Turk machine with the theme of the Sunman from the Pizzaplex. One day, after he'd finished up the cabinet section of the mechanical Sunman, he got inside after school and was locked inside it. He couldn't escape and no one could help him. Eventually, he fell asleep and never woke up again. Well, he did wake up, but he was dead. Travis forgot that he died. He thought he was still alive and carried on living his life. People ignored him because he was never actually there. The reason Marissa didn't want to talk to him was because she was one of the gifted ones his grandma was talking about who could see the ghost that was haunting her. Travis wasn't the haunted one, Marissa was, and so was his dad. She was freaked out by him because he was a ghost and she understandably didn't want to hang out with a ghost. Travis's grandma had died and gave him the advice about ghosts because she knew he was dead too. His dad made the mechanical Sunman by himself to try to make himself feel better, but it just upset him more and so he destroyed it. He wasn't mad at Travis because he knew that Travis wasn't there. He felt like Travis was there, but he believed in his heart that Travis was gone. In the cabinet, Travis realized that he would never be alone again. His spirit and his dead body would never be alone again because they would be together forever. And that's how the story ends. I personally think that this story was very interesting. I think there's definitely some lore bits here that we should look into, and I think it was just pretty entertaining as a story. It wasn't one of the best Tales stories, but it was definitely a really good one, and I think the twist was actually really good. I didn't actually see it coming. I don't know if everybody else did, I don't know if I'm just stupid, but I honestly didn't see it coming. I recently started watching the Saw movies since the new one just came out and I want to watch it. I've watched the first 3 so far, and the first one is my favorite, mostly because of the twist at the end. The story's twist, while obviously not as good as the twist in Saw, is a twist that just reminds me of Saw in the way that it comes right at the end and basically explains everything. I honestly didn't see it coming, but when I made it to the part where Travis realized that he was the ghost, I had to stop reading so that I could put it all together, and it all made so much sense. It's honestly a really sad story, and it reminds me of Coming Home in a lot of ways. But let me know in the comments what you guys think of this story. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Let me know in the comments, and if you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to, and stay tuned for my summaries on Didophobia and the final epilogue. But that's all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, guys!